And we're
Welcome.
live.
Yes.
Woo! GM.
GAM for me, but yeah, GM for someone. It's always GM. That's
GM.
why I started saying GT.
Yes.
It's a good time. Always
I
a
like
good time.
that.
Yeah, GT.
I like
or
that.
glove time if you're a fish. But yeah, so
How the devil are you, Mr. Breadcat?
it's been. I feel like I've lived a whole lifetime in a day, but here kicking. Super great things are happening, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been.
How about you?
I'm good. I'm just.
You've been traveling.
I have been traveling, and I'm feeling a little bit like, did I get the POAP? Did I not get the POAP? A little under the weather. I've seen a few people feeling a little under the weather after last week. But
I like that that's the term, the POAP. Like,
yeah,
this is your proof that you were here.
Proof of attendance virus. POAV.
POAV,
maybe.
yeah.
I don't know, but it was a heck of a week, and we have a lot to catch up on.
We do.
But folks, if you are just joining us, this is the Superchain Spotlight edition of the Good News Show. We are here every Wednesday. We've got a little bit of an upside down schedule this week because of my travel, and so we are joining you in the afternoon with some vibes.
I'm glad in a way that it happened because, had we done the show at 11 Eastern like we normally do, we would have missed like two huge things that just dropped. So it all works out, I guess, on the
breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need to make a new banner for the breaking news that we have today. But
nice.
Let's jump in so we have a ton of things. We're going to talk about Zora, we're going to talk about Moxie, we're going to talk about Basecamp, FWB Fest, some of the things that came out of FWB and Basecamp. Plus, at 30 on the hour,
a
special guest joining us from Endowment to talk about the Onchain Giving Summit, which is exciting. Yes. But why don't we jump in with Moxie?
Sure, yeah. So we've got tons of tipping tokens, and I think out of that, even we had discussed, like, it feels like it needed to kind of mature. I don't know if we hit it yet, because it's still kind of early to tell, but Moxie's kind of taken off. I think it started mid to late last week. And so the whole thing is you get an airdrop that kind of has shown up in the last while. You qualify, and some people's are huge, some people's are not so big. Took a lot into account. But instead of like being an airdrop, like, here's free money, okay, bye everyone, as they race to cash out, it releases like 180th. So it's a 180-day vesting period for your whole thing, but you get a little bit released every day. So it's 180th a day, and you can just cash out and take that free space money, or you can even use your current vesting tokens to buy fan tokens of others. And so in a way, it's almost like the social DeFi thing. And so you can buy your friends, which feels weird always to say. Melissa Burr, fan of the show, I just said I can't do too much of this, so I'm gonna all in on you, for better or for worse, because just she's always showing up. She's always great, providing value.
Tell me the strategy there, because for somebody like
laziness,
who's like, well, that's where I was going, because was for somebody like me who's like, I don't know if I even have the time to like sit down and like learn how to do this, and it's not native.
And it's like they keep saying it's like purposely difficult to keep like farmers from showing up and like, oh, I just have to do this dance, GM, like comment stuff, like all that. So everyone's kind of earning Moxie as you just exist on Farcaster, but it's designed to like not be farmable as other things. I'm sure there'll be a way where some people figure it out, but you can buy fan tokens of channels, or you can buy fan tokens of people. And basically what that does is like, I'm kind of like taking my Moxie and like locking it up in little bricks of whoever I believe in. And then as they continue to have more people buy it, instead of them directly earning, they can, the amount is like a percentage of every transaction that actually goes and buys more fan tokens, so they continue to go up. And so by getting in early, or however you want to play it on somebody, you will get kind of a rising floor in theory. And so there's that. And then the more people, the more they show up, posting certain frames, doing certain things, the more Moxie that kind of attributes to their pool, which then buys more of their fan tokens and continues to cash out, so they can buy more of themselves or more of a channel. And then I think it's like a certain percentage, like 20%, don't hold me to that, of all of their Moxie that they earn goes towards those fan token purchases. And then 100% of channels. So there's not like one person it goes to. So channels could shoot up faster, but then I think they're weighted differently than individuals. So my strategy is just I believe in Melissa Burr how she shows up and the value she creates. And so I'm just bullish on that. And so I didn't have to like kind of, I was looking for a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went all in on her, and I'm up Moxie, hooray. It's magic internet. So not a financial like advice, like, but I think it's, for me, for someone that's more passive and not going to kind of like swing trade people, which again sounds nuts to me. I needed somebody that I believed in. And so find people that you believe in, find channels that you frequently, and then kind of like drop anchors through fan tokens. And then essentially the more that we just show up as part of Farcaster, in theory, it should go up and kind of like mature the value, and you grow with the network, I think is the concept. So it's new. There's a lot of moving parts. Everything's handled through frames too. So if you want to learn more about it, it's airstack.xyz, I believe. It's the Airstack team kind of basically just said, hey, we're going to do Moxie now, and because we believe in Farcaster. And so that's the way, when you do an action, it DMs you a frame to take the action kind of thing. Be careful that it's actually from them, all that other stuff. But yeah, so it's different, and so we'll see what happens. But I see a lot of folks kind of diving into it. A lot of people are saying, nope, not for me. That's totally fine.
Wait, what is Airstack compared to Moxie though? Because Airstack is other things.
Airstack was building like frames and tooling for Farcaster, but they've all like they are like, I think we can do token better, and so that they've dedicated like basically their team's effort towards building out the frames for it, building out the back end, and I guess there's some more to come too. So. Yeah, there's a lot of auctions are happening right now, because not everyone, you can't just buy anyone. They have to have an auction. But then if you're not having an auction for your token, or someone that you believe in, you can just message them, and then kind of based on demand, they're throwing more stuff. But yeah, so Rainbow, Bit for Ghost. Yep.
So we're seeing kind of a lot of the folks that have bigger
followings is kind of like where they're starting it. Yeah. So that's definitely how it is. Yeah.
All right. So obviously, if you are interested in getting involved with Moxie, you do need to be on Farcaster. So let's just.
It is like Farcaster baked into its DNA. Yeah. So it's all about basically like supporting Farcaster and believing in the experiment that we're all kind of jumping into. So yeah, it's different. You don't have to like spam messages to each other to tip. It's more just kind of show up in how you normally would, and kind of sharing the rewards together. So
how do you think that impacts things like DGen, Ham, all of the other kind of tipping tools that we've become accustomed to?
Yeah, I think that it's still a place for them. I think it's just a different remix. And I think that, if anything, like, again, I'm just super bullish on wildcard.lol. It's just an alternative client to like Warpcast. I'm probably using like 60/40. So I'm using both, which Farcaster allows. And Wildcard makes tipping itself so much more easy, because you can just hit a tipping button and kind of side scroll the coins. It knows your allowance, so you don't have to go check a frame. You can just hit like 10%, 20%, 50%, 100%. And so I'll just kind of jump between 10, 20 until my balance is really low, then 50, and then kind of just keep halving it until finally just dumping the last remaining in somebody. And so yeah, that's made tipping easy and frictionless again, for me. And so like, because it got to be just overwhelming of like, okay, what's the Ham thing and what's the DGen thing, and like I felt like there was unused balances. And so this makes it a lot more easy to see what you are, and you can even tip your actual tokens even like beyond balances too. So just makes it super easy to use on the tipping side, plus tons of other features. So yeah, that's a free alternative to Warpcast. And again, I think that's the beauty of this Farcaster thing, is like, I really feel passionate about X, Y, and Z, like something as simple as like having a pinned cast to my profile. So it's like, I've got my bio, and then here's an about me kind of thread, if you will. That's so new people are trying to figure out who I am or what I'm up to and stuff. I can pin cast. Warpcast doesn't do that, but Wildcard does. And so we really can kind of win across the board when you kind of combine or remix however you prefer to do social through various clients. It seems frictiony at first of like, I don't want to use 8 different apps, but like I pop in between the two almost interchangeably. And after like a day or two, it's just like second nature of like, oh, I like Warpcast DMs better, and I like frames better over at Warpcast. But if I'm going to like tip somebody, or I want to jump into channels and all kinds of other stuff like that, Wildcard has that, where it's preference, but having the choice and having to not, oh, I have this account over here, or this account, it's all the same account. It's just how you choose to it really sells the whole Farcaster ecosystem. So
it's amazing. All right, well, what else? Let's talk this breaking news on Zora. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So for long,
I'm gonna pin it up.
Sure, yeah. I'm happy to jump into it, or if we're gonna share. I think it's huge. So Zora, if you don't know, is a member of the Superchain. Their primary focus or niche, if you will, is NFTs, and so they've really been coming like along with like a bunch. I think there's a new app brewing. I don't know if it's on Android yet, but it's iPhone. Last I checked, there was some previews, and people that used it have just been like floored with how easy it is. Like double click to mint or double tap to mint kind of stuff. But beyond that, they've kind of taken the pain point or the friction of, say, I'm starting some kind of project. And if somebody buys it on OpenSea, there's no enforced royalties. If they buy it on Magic Eden, they're enforcing royalties. If some other thing comes up, who knows? So instead of that, they take every time you mint. I think there's now a 3-day minimum for this, but every time you mint, it takes that ER 1155, wraps it in a ER 20, so it's like now more of like a token or a coin, and then can be traded on Uniswap. And so Uniswap, decentralized, huge decentralized, swaps and everything. Pretty much any wallet that you're using is basically using Uniswap under the hood. And so it can really give a chance to give liquidity to people that, oops, I minted this, but I really don't want it. Let me like race out or whatever the case may be. Or if someone wants to get in and they're nervous about like certain pricing and whatnot, now there's like a liquidity pool for all of it. So I don't know how it would work necessarily with like huge NFT projects where there's like difference in traits and what have you. But for ones where it's like photography or art, that's just kind of all of it's like an open edition, I think it really gives a lot of power. And the coolest thing for me is instead of giving like a percentage of royalty, they're actually using a percentage of the liquidity pool in Uniswap. So there's like a fee that comes out that goes in a sector, like a portion of that goes to the creator. And so you kind of have this instant liquidity, but then instant rewards going back to the creator. So the creator can now be empowered to do more and get that value without it feeling like they're kind of birthing it and then they never, like everyone's running with it and they get nothing anymore. It goes back into that ethos of like, let me create and let me share. If you're winning by selling my thing because the floor has gone really up, let me get a slice as well so that I'm empowered to continue to create even more value and even more works of art and what have you. So we'll see how that ends up working out. But for me, I think it's a really cool step in innovation towards kind of re-energizing what we can do with NFTs. And then it's not something that can be shut off. It's not it's like established at the protocol kind of level with this. And so it's not, again, like a marketplace can come in and be like, no fees, like the way that it's kind of being built and deployed at birth, if you will, or at mint, is set up to do all this. So
I think we're just at like a tipping point right now of like how we're using or defining art as NFTs, like how we're using the technology, because I think we're seeing a lot of like high volume, low price projects being deployed. Like just look at Doodles last week, like did multiple 6 figures from like a $2 NFT, right? For their access pass. And it's really showing these unique use cases that I think creators should be really paying attention to. So but then my question is, how does that affect mainnet art? Do we still see people holding true value for those pieces on mainnet? Or do you think this kind of surge towards volume is going to impact?
So my if I was going to bet on something, I think what we're seeing with the Superchain really is a good kind of example where everyone kind of has a similar enough shape, and so we're able to kind of jump between between all of them without much friction at all. And so I think the whole very much gone are the days of like, this is an Ethereum killer, like, and some projects will come out and say that or whatever, but like I don't think that Ethereum is going away, but I do think like all these layer twos and stuff, like it'll get to a point where your wallet is your wallet across whether it's layer 2 or layer 3s, and someone will make the UI to allow you to see them all side by side. And so like, does it super matter that it's mainnet, or does it super matter that it's layer 2? I think it used to be something that people would fight endlessly about. I think at the end of the day, the art is what matters rather than like where it lives. If you can still access it, if your wallet is the key to accessing it, then I think it doesn't matter, right? And I think we're going to continue to see like with Doodles, it's not that it's a loss leader, but you're being able to have like a very, very cheap ticket to ride, and then getting a huge amount of people to buy in is very powerful. Yes, you could do something that was super limited where people kind of fight over it and it creates this huge valuable thing. I think that will not go away. I think that will still be a one avenue, but then also having everyone say, here's your ticket to get to this thing that, oh, the content that we can all do, or these experiences that we can all do together. It's inexpensive, but because I now have an army of fans that are 200,000 strong, or quarter of a million, 500,000 strong, there's power in that, because now you can do more when you've got a lot of folks to join in the fun. Even with my own projects, like I could do really, really cool things, and I did do really, really cool things and got more in the hopper kind of to do more. But if it's 100 people, that's awesome. If it's 10 people, the effort, I think now you have to balance it. But being able to go get a splurge of 100,000 people or more, then you can really have some fun that involves like a bigger community. And so I think that we're going to start to see that as another avenue, as you said, of like, let's get the masses, like not like, or when the masses show, like the masses that are here, get them involved and let's do something fun, or let's do something meaningful, or make a memory, instead of like, oh, 4 people have this super rare thing. Like it's an alternative. And I think in a way it can be more fun and more palatable to people that are on the outside that aren't really sure why we're all selling like animal pictures, right? That sticks. So how do we change that narrative? And it's by doing something that's really, really meaningful in a way that's approachable. And I think that this avenue is probably going to start to lean more and more into that.
Yeah, it's exciting to just really see the energy that's brewing in the Superchain ecosystem.
Yes.
I spent the last week out in California at Basecamp, and then stayed for FWB Fest. And too much to even compress. I'm working on an article that I'm going to put out probably later this evening. But one of the just really apparent things to me was the energy and optimism, of course, in this ecosystem, and this idea of co-creation, everybody really just supporting one another, amplifying each other's projects. Like there's a real sense of community that is brewing, that's not just kind of, talk on the timeline. It's actually happening. And so that was really amazing to see. There was some really interesting activations. Optimism and IYK had a treasure hunt with little plaques all around the complex, including in the CMO of FWB Fest's backpack. So that was interesting. And so lots of opportunities to earn OP. Really thoughtful and intimate setting for panels at FWB Fest. We had OP had an amazing panel on memes, and memes as a tool for advertising, which was phenomenal. What else? Getting to hear from Vitalik at the end of Basecamp was just wild, to have kind of that conversation and that converse between him and Jesse Pollock. And then, of course, big highlight was being in the room when we found out that Help was one of the winners for the Build-a-thon. So that was,
you were there physically. I was watching on the live stream, and I was like, I think we just won. And like, I don't know if you were like, obviously real time wasn't delayed, but I felt like there was some delay between either my messages or whatever. You're like, we won. I'm like, you're there. How do you not? So
because here's a funny story of what happened. So of course, it was right towards the end of the programming, and I stepped outside to get a cup of coffee for like literally a minute. That was the timeline. And I stepped outside and I called Jen, I called my wife, and I was texting with you at the same time as talking to her. And one of you was like, I think it's happening right now. And right as I walked in, you text, we won. And I saw the screen and I went, audibly went, we won.
I tried to get a screenshot, and I think you were like, did you get a screenshot? I was like, you're there. Did you get a picture? And like, but
it was really cool because it was right at the back of the room, because I just walked in, and people were like, you won. I was like, we won. And they were like high-fiving. I'm like, damn it, I wish Brock was here. So
I was there on live stream in the chat. So
exactly. So we were very excited to be one of 11 winners in the payments track. But it was really interesting to see kind of the cross section of people that were picked. There was a few people there that I met. Lovely Human, who did the NFT tarot cards, was one of the winners. Just a really interesting array of projects that were actually shortlisted. So excited to see where that goes. Excited to see kind of this all roll out. I think we got KYC'd. And we're ready to.
I think that so KYC I think is next week from the email, and then the following week is when they do the awards. I think it's spread out on purpose to where just give anybody the chance of like, wait a second, this is a copy. Like ours, I built the thing from scratch, so I think that's or scratch. There's some libraries and stuff too, but like I think it's just another way to slow it down, just so nobody's like extracting and running away. But I do think that there is, even watching some of the live stream from it and not being there in person, I could still feel like we're very much in the world of like, I made this stick and water can run down the stick and the drips go closer to the jar. And so it's like, oh, well, I made a pipe and we could do, and now everyone's got plumbing. And like, so we're like, it's creating things almost selflessly, like where like there are definitely businesses that shake out of things, but also if I'm making like a tool, and again in general, not just me specifically, I do think that more often than not it's like I've made this new protocol or I've made this new thing, and collectively this now empowers the next. And so we're creating these kind of like pipes, for the example of like, now it can run through like KYC, and now it can run through this, and now it can run through that, until we have these like great amazing things that are on chain and usable for everybody and auditable and transparent. And I don't know, there's just a ton of things that are happening all really fast, but also right just in time. Like I think very much now in the community more so, it came from when I first joined into it. Like, I'm building this over here. Oh, well, we're building this over here. Well, ours is better than yours, and this and this. Instead of that, it's more of like, I'm building this. Cool. How can I help? Or we're building something similar. Let's put our heads together. Let's see how we can work together. Let's get to the best option possible, and then let everyone use it. And sure, I think as a side effect, money is involved because we're all just in this wild space money race. But at the same time, real things of value are solving real needs. And I think that was the biggest takeaway. It's like now that we've got tons of infrastructure to where it's turnkey to like handle wallet logins and make it easier to send this and do all these like smart wallets, all of that combined equals what? And it's where we're meeting people where we need, whether it's needs in other countries or it's needs in our countries or whatever. Like, what are those needs? What are those problems? And what are those frictions? And how can we use online to solve them so that more and more people go, oh, wait, it's on chain? Like, oh, it's online? Like, this is that next shift from the online to the on chain. And not saying that in any kind of like, so buy this thing. It's like, no, it's here. And it doesn't need to have ties to where you're like buying somebody's bags. Like, it's just going to exist because it should. And so it's super interesting to see.
A couple of things I kind of snapshotted. So Jesse Pollock from Base, obviously, during his keynote, he said there's three kind of prongs to where we're going, and that is, one, make something that people want; two, build dead simple experiences; and three, bring new people on chain. Pretty simple. He had a quote up on the screen that said, keep building, stay based, do the right thing, work hard, be optimistic, push boundaries with creativity, and put the team over the individual.
Yes.
So yes, totally echoing what you're sharing. Their vision is to enable anyone, anywhere to come on chain and live a radically better life.
That is, yeah, I'm off. Like, these are the tools where we instead of extract value, provide value to everybody. Like, what the rising floor, we talk a lot about floors, but like, we need to find the folks that are on or below the floor and use on chain to get them above. Like, it should be a rising floor that we continue to, like, why is there a friction that we need to have? Like, how do we move that? How do we go fast? How is it more transparent so these things are more obvious of what problems we need to solve? Like, all of that is kind of converging into this like tornado of awesome, and it's only going to continue to get better. So it's super awesome to see. I'm super glad you made it out there, because it was great to see it from like an outsider. But just hearing some of your stories that I'm sure you'll share in your article, it feels really good to be a part of everything that's going on now.
And humans are what make this ecosystem what it is. And I got to meet just really special people like Sierra, amazing creator, building this ecosystem for Nigerian artists and telling me about all the things that are going on over there, and just really solid people that really care about the planet, care about the world, care about other human beings, and are working alongside technologists to try to bridge these gaps, like you're saying. So I left feeling tired but invigorated and ready to go.
That's the way. No sleep. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Everyone should rest. Take care of yourselves.
Exactly. So what else? There was a few other things.
We have like 4 minutes for awesome guests. I don't like we can just try and not breeze through it, but I know that there's a new through Arbitrum, I believe, where you can deploy your own kind of like way of life where you use USDC as gas. And so that, I think, in and of itself is a super awesome way to move forward. And it's like one click type thing. So not only have they made it super easy, I think it makes it super easy for people to understand. Instead of going, oh, you have to pay gas. Oh, well, that's 0.0333 things. And they're like, what does that mean? And like even putting like, oh, it's 1 cent. What if it just literally said 1 cent? And that's what this can do, where it's the base token for the contract, and the way that you interact with it is USDC. And so is that great for everybody in the world? Probably not. But that's another thing on a base. The Euro C, like that came out too, right? There was a stable coin in euros. And so like things like that, even though it's as simple as that doesn't seem like, oh wow, another stable coin, but like having that pegged for a different currency now allows us to like switch between more easily and things like that across borders and whatnot. But yeah, so super cool to see like really quick deploying things that run off USD pricing to make it easier to kind of wrap people's heads around. I do think like once you're in it, like understanding the ETH thing, it makes sense, but being able to lower that barrier of entry, super cool to see.
I love that we've gone 28 whole minutes without mentioning the market.
Oh yeah,
because it doesn't matter, right? That's the point. It doesn't matter if you are in.
It goes up, it goes up, goes down. But I think for the most part, it's going like this instead of like some people feel it goes like down and then up. I think it's still we're growing as more people come into this. So like I can understand people that see red, but like I don't look at charts. I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, and I can confirm
for my sanity, and also like I think you told me like what happened. I go what are you
like?
What
do you mean? Like, it's like the market.
Oh, sorry. I live in a cave. I'm building things, but
I want to mention one other thing as well. Bend app. It's bend.eco had just a wonderful activation throughout the FWB Fest experience, where lots of free money, lots of like scanning things to get free money to buy merch with your free money, and a nice little airdrop of OP. So again, just a lot of that word of the week being interoperability, community culture, a lot of kind of coming together of all these different teams and communities and rewarding people for participation, which was great.
Yeah, I think it's lowering that barrier of entry to it's like, hey, jump in, it's free. And then with things like the smart wallet, where it's like using your passkey instead of like they're literally, I think one of the other phrases that caught my eye was like, private keys suck and we want to get rid of them. With the whole like passkey with your phone, I do think that is a smoother way for someone that's not in it. So like, hey, don't lose this. If so, like all of your value is gone forever and no one can come save you. Versus it's a passkey on your phone. Oh, okay, that's easier. So yeah, it's interesting to see all these developments that just make it easier and easier and easier to try it.
Yeah, and a couple of other things to mention, just because there's quite a few different rounds that we're running over the last week or so. Base shared some facts that there's been $26 million in rewards to builders from builder grants, rounds, hackathon prizes, and OP retro funding 2 through 4. And that's in a year, right, since Base was founded. And there's been 1,100 builders rewarded. So pretty staggering over the year, over a 12-month period. We love to see it.
Yes.
20,000 monthly active developers, 275 million unique Ethereum addresses, and 56% of the Fortune 500 have on-chain projects.
That's huge.
Yeah. So this is the time.
Yeah, it's where that there's enough stability in the pool for people to start to get in. And before it was like, waters are really dangerous, but it's fun, but also it feels like you lost your whole life. Like now it's getting where it's easier to go, oh, I do want to get in there. That does sound fun, kind of thing. Yeah. So
I also thought, we should have a guest any second, but I also thought it was great that they being Base were talking about the marketing flywheel and how they're listening, and they've observed that one of the biggest challenges for folks is discovery. We can build awesome tools, we can hire awesome teams, but if we can't be found and audiences can't participate, then we're left with this big gap. Showing that they had partnered up with like 10 major players in kind of the Web 2, Web 3 ecosystem, including people like OpenSea. to guarantee homepage placement for projects that are submitted via the base registry. That was really exciting to me.
Right. And the registry is also open source, I believe, too. So it's not like base is like, oh, you have to get in and apply and we have to approve you. Like, no, like you just jump in and then now you're part of this greater kind of, advertising network if you want, but also like that lens to discovery. I think seeing more, so if they do that for say 10 things get super featured this week and then 10 next week, eventually things are going to start to catch people's eyes, and it allows like builders to not only build but also share in the growth, and then provide tools and get users. And I think it's just only going to build upon itself. And I think that also that registry, because it's open source, can also be leveraged for even more kind of eyes. It doesn't have to just be this one network. The network can continue to grow even without permission from base kind of thing. So just it's being built in all the right ways, and I think it's only going to continue. If this is the starting point, I think it's only going to get crazier from here.
Yep. Okay, let me make sure we have our guests. Don't see them yet. Let me make sure. Hold on. Well, while I get this, make sure that they have the info. Let's talk a little bit about endowment and HELP's involvement with endowment.
Sure. For those of you who don't know, endowment is just another great piece of Onchain, and they help with donors be able to sign up and get donations and kind of help with the onboarding piece. One of the cool things about them, and I'm sure they'll go into more detail, I'm just keeping it super high level, is they're able to have assets come in directly to them, and because of a certain tax structure, do the selling on behalf of the entity. So the entity doesn't take a tax hit, and because of the way they're registered, they don't take a tax hit. And so then they can convert crypto into fiat or crypto into stables without incurring like that extra tax hit. So instead of you going, sweet, I'm going to donate $100, and then they get the $100 and they have to pay $30 to the government, they're able to, like, even though, because it's a crypto transaction versus like an actual donation, it's now to be recognized a little bit more like a donation, and they get the more closely to the full value of the donation. So that just helps the on-chain giving go even further. So really cool to see how we, through Help, partnered with them. Is we're actually, if you sign up and you check that you're a nonprofit, you can actually search their directory through Help and find your name. Once you connect that, now the wallet, instead of going to like just an exterior wallet, goes to an even further verifiable wallet through endowment, and all the funds go straight through us to them. There's a small fee that comes out from that if people are looking to sign up for either Help or that, but for the most part, that fee is marginally small compared to what you would lose if you just took on-chain giving up. If you're an individual, though, there's still taxes and stuff, but endowment's just another way to keep more of the good-natured kind of donations in the form of their pockets. There's also like a bunch of other features of like helping with tax and stuff and what's due and all these other things that are just built into their tool set. So hoping to continue to on-ramp lots more features and make it just even easier for folks to start accepting on-chain giving, whether it's for an individual, a group, or a nonprofit. But yeah, that's where we utilize them. And we did everything through On-Chain Summer for the hackathon.
And our guest is here. We have Brusha from Endowment. So welcome.
Hello.
Thanks so much. Hi, all. Thanks for having us today.
Of course.
Me.
Absolutely.
All of us are happy. Yeah, there we go.
Yes. And it was great to meet you last week at the Love Fest panel. So do you want to just give a quick intro, what it is that you do for Endowment? And we attempted a little bit of a kind of synopsis.
I did a blurb, but it's better probably from you than my paraphrasing.
Well, I appreciate it for sure. I'm Brusha. I'm the donor engagement producer at Endowment. At Endowment, we're basically an on-chain grant-making community foundation. So we're able to facilitate donations of any type, any digital asset, stock, cash, to over 1.1 million worldwide nonprofits. And then we've also designed a myriad of like traditional financial tools, brought them on chain, and been able to program them to be more accessible for our next gen donor set. And yeah, constantly trying to like innovate ways that we can make grant making more intuitive, more accessible, and like more transparent for this whole new world of on-chain giving.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And we have something special coming up next week. So I'm gonna pin it up while you tell us what is happening and kind of what was the inspiration behind this.
Amazing. Yeah. So we have our second annual On-Chain Giving Summit. Last year it was called the State of Crypto Philanthropy. So this was actually like kind of an internal thing that our CEO President Robbie started doing, where we were getting our community together online to share what is even happening in the market, like what is changing, what's working, what's not working. And we decided that we wanted to like expand it to all of our friends building in the space, who are really, dedicated to this crypto philanthropy world. And on-chain has really risen to be, I think, the nomenclature a lot of us are enjoying using. It's On-Chain Summer, which is a big initiative of our friends at Base. And so, we've been kind of reimagining what we do and the ecosystem that we're building in as on-chain giving. So this summit is really bringing together like so many epic friends in this space. And we've made it into 4 days of digital programming. So the first day, which starts next Tuesday, is going to be really like advocacy and policy centered. We have amazing names like Blockchain Association, Coinbase. We have representatives from Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, other folks like who are really engaged with the PAC activity on the Hill, to DAF legislation insights coming on that day. Then we have our Next Gen Donors Day on Tuesday, which is going to be for like really anybody who cares about giving, to really learn how to do that most efficiently, both for your taxes, but also to really, maximize what you can give to the organizations you love. Thursday is going to be all about financial advisors and private wealth managers. So we're seeing like such a moment for private wealth professionals who want to come into the space, and they get to really learn from folks who have been doing it, who are in very high demand, as I think every founder has probably tried to navigate. So that whole day is dedicated to that realm. And then last but certainly not least, we have a whole day of education for our nonprofit community, really bringing in, the Giving Block, another amazing partner in the space, to GivePact, and bunch of other nonprofit friends who are going to be talking about like how to get in front of crypto donors or why use Web3 at all as a nonprofit. So we really have just amazing stacked programming. Rachel, I know you're going to be sharing on Nonprofit Day as well about some fundraising case studies that you've seen work and maybe not work. So we're just very stoked.
And we have Brock is going to be on a panel too earlier in the
surprise. You've got both of us
on a panel, and we love like watching you just emergently build with our SDK and API and find new ways for the nonprofits we love to like get involved more intuitively in different spaces. So yeah, it's going to be dope.
Yes, very dope. I say it's going to be dope all the time. So the fact that you said that, naturally, we're amongst good company. With this, I guess I know that registration is required, so make sure that people register. If you haven't already, it's free. For the registration, do they get anything, or is there any extra perks as to why they should hustle and register, or can they, if they forgot about it day of, can they register? Is there a cutoff to registration?
Yeah, there's no cutoff to registration. We just want to, reduce the amount of like degen activity, and we really want this to be about like nourishing our community, and that's really why we encourage people to RSVP. You can certainly ape in any day, but definitely awesome to get in early. You can already start previewing some of the sessions and the agenda and kind of start marking your calendar for what you want to attend. We'll also be, recording everything, but there's nothing like getting in the room with fellow builders and truly like the top leaders in the entire like on-chain giving space. So we have Gitcoin, we have Open Civics, we have so many amazing names who are participating. And it's always going to be like intimate, and we're really about quality content and quality education, like not a shill fest. So last year we had, I think, about almost 400 RSVPs, and that whole group, and it was one day, And that whole group stayed for the entire day of programming. Like it was almost 6 hours of programming.
Wow.
Like it was unbelievable. Like I imagine some people, had to maybe have a bio break or left it on, but it was just such a testament to like the quality of conversations that we were having as a group. And I know we're gonna show up like that this year too.
What do you
just plus
see?
one?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say plus one to that. Like we had in the panel that I'm on, we had kind of like an early, just like, what do we want to talk about? How do we make sure this isn't just everyone talking all crazy? And not one chill, but then because everyone was just so passionate about it, like there's connections happening outside of like how we can, well, I'm building this thing and you need that thing. Like, so I just think already before it's even begun, there's just a lot of value coming out of it. And so I'm super stoked for this whole thing.
Oh, well, that makes me so happy because I think that's the other cool part of when we're collaborative is we're able to just kind of inspire each other. And so that just makes me so happy to hear that even, y'all like folks who are on panels are already getting that nourishment. Like we haven't even shared yet,
Yeah.
It just echoes kind of the whole vibe of the Superchain. And I think what we saw last week at Fest and Basecamp is like this, we're so much better when we build together, right? There's so much brilliant talent in these rooms and in these spaces. Like, let's put our minds and hearts together and see what we can build to help people get where they need to be. So
yeah,
really excited. Tell us a little bit about Love Fest, because obviously for folks that were not there last week, it was very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to talk about it too. I actually still have my little band. I got back to Brazil yesterday, but so Love Fest is an initiative that I came up with another FWB member, Barrow Lucid, who does a community called Chones. And the impetus was really whenever we gather in real life, especially as a more digitally forward community, it's such an opportunity for us to actually fundraise for an organization that relates to the shared value set of that community. So for example, FWB Fest, we offered a myriad of different nonprofits like that were situated in Idlewild, which is the location where this big FWB Fest happens every year. But then as a community, once we started this conversation about fundraising, came forward and was like, well, there's the Palestinian crisis. Like, this is something that really matters to our community. So the Love Fest Impact Fund is basically a community fund that we were able to get a percentage of ticket sales from the festival to go to a community decided org. And so this is all done on chain through endowment as an on-chain community fund. And then we were able to get the rest of the community to continue like throwing in digital assets or cash or whatever they could to kind of keep adding to the pot. So yeah, Love Fest Fund is hopefully the first of many. It was definitely like V0. And yeah, I just think it's an opportunity for every community whenever we're going to a conference or, like a community is a base camp or Metacamp or these different initiatives is a moment where we can kind of come together and make sure that there's in real life, monetary impact connected to kind of the abundant generative nature of when we gather as a digital community in real life.
So powerful. I love it. And it was just a very warm and supportive little nurturing group as well. So
yeah,
thank you for your efforts there.
Yeah, and that was just so cool. Then, yeah, to be able to have like a little session to kind of get the impact folks who were at FWB Fest together and actually meet each other. So yeah, hopefully next year at Fest we can, build that out a little bit, get more noise, just get more funds, and hopefully get more community involved in even deciding what nonprofit receives the funding. But yeah, for anybody out there, if you are interested in creating a community fund for an event, do not hesitate to reach out to me. It's super, super easy with all of our endowment tooling. And I think is like, we should be building impact into everything we do, in my opinion.
I completely agree. I almost think that we should just put like a 1% tax on like all transactions or something like that, and just goes to and then just vote. Yeah, but like make gas like a little bit more. It's like millages and city taxes or whatever too. Like we want to support this thing. If we all just pay a little bit more gas, and by the protocol it goes there, and then it's all transparent and all that other stuff, and then we can switch where the hose goes, like throughout. So I think that supports the nature of it. Like, we're all here for, like, sometimes we want number go up, but also, like, let's make sure everyone's, like, way of life also goes up too, because we have the technology, because we can, and because we just should. So it's super cool to see.
Yeah, and keeping the funds moving, I think it's part of that generative abundant mentality that, to me, is really at the core of why I'm in Web3. And I think a lot of us are hopefully building with that in mind. And so just making sure people know that, like, our developer tools are out there and people can iterate and play with them, just as you have, Brock, like, to bake that into different applications or protocols is really, like, why I exist at Endowment. So
to that point too, building with it, not only with the team, super, like, I think I had 2 people jump into the ticket of just like, Brock's doing something, just make sure he has what he needs. I don't think that it was special treatment either, because to the point, like, I talked to, and so with that though, I think it was like less than an hour. I had most of the things, and then after that, it was like cleaning up the UI and making sure it looks cool and it's easy to use. But and then now I'm kind of like excited to do more. Like, so we've got things on our roadmap to do even more integrations and tie-ins, and so making it easy to do good with all the tools that you guys have there.
Yeah, I mean, we are such geeks. And so I think we just get so excited when people can kind of see what we're doing and it can click for them, and then they can, build something for on-chain giving in their own lane or their own space. And we just love it. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys. So
one of the things I'm like,
best part too. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, one of the things I'm like really like excited about just dedicating energy to, and connecting with communities like Endowment over, is just this idea of accessibility for more nonprofits that are not well resourced. I talked briefly about it last week. We found that since 2017, the large majority of crypto donations go to the top 100 US based nonprofits, which is not great. We have so many needy causes that are not well resourced, that have small teams. So I'm excited about being able to get the information and kind of the tools and resources into the hands of those smaller organizations. But I'm curious, like, what are you most excited about, Bruja?
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing that forward too, because that was a big piece of, like, also why I came to Endowment. I mean, discoverability is always one of those things that in the app we always want to be, like, allocating more imagination to and time, but we are a small and, like, really, busy team. But I think just that's why we create things like the On-Chain Giving Summit, and really want to continue to surface other, amazing things like Candid, amazing companies like Candid that do help you, wade through 1.1 million orgs. But also we do things like we automatically make a wallet address for every single compliant nonprofit that exists. So if there is a small grassroots organization that you know about, that you love, and you are a donor of, again, we have no minimums, so anyone can be a next-gen donor on Endowment. You can route them funding, and then it's just a matter of getting them to claim it, which is usually through email, or, if you have a personal relationship, you could just give them a nudge, and then they're able to receive those funds in fiat, or if they want, they can keep it in USDC. So I think that's one of those things that we have arrived at as a company, is that we really want anybody to be able to receive the funding. And we've seen so many amazing donors. Like, one of my favorite stories is the Art Blocks founder has a really strong tie in Austin, and during the whole Roe v. Wade, rollbacks, was able to pluck all of these amazing grassroots organizations in the area and get them incredible amounts of funding.
Wow.
They were very small teams, obviously in their own crisis moment, but were able to just claim the money. And then we're like, wait, who are you? And they developed, like, a whole relationship. So because we're able to make that wallet address, it's just super easy for orgs with low bandwidth to receive funding. They don't need a dedicated, Web3 ambassador or title on their, executive team. So it can really be supporting some org of 2, org of 3, But a super, super important piece. And yeah, that's why I'm also excited for Nonprofit Day, is like any orgs can come and hopefully like learn how to use these tools and get to know the community, which is always half of the fundraise strategy, you know, is just meeting people.
I think you touched on something there that Brock and I really wanted to solve with Send Help, is this idea of like, we've seen macro level mobilization in crypto. Like we saw it with Ukraine DAO, like just huge campaign to get money into the hands of people really quickly. But we've not really seen that on a micro level, that mobilization. And so that's really why that's kind of been our focus with the tools that we're building. So it's, you know, we love that that's kind of the same. You're looking at it from the same perspective as well.
Yeah. I like the whole by design of like, try and stop us. Like, it's sent. The transaction's already happened. So good luck.
Yeah, the transaction's already happened. You just have to be like, yes,
helped, but you can't stop it. It's unstoppable. And then the flip side, it was a happy accident when building for Onchain server. Like, we had identified like, who are the people like that we want to like be able to help, and how do we make sure that their journey is like the easiest possible to not only for folks that want to give and the folks that need to receive. How can that be so easy? And we looked at like individuals and like groups, like even if it's like a basketball team for high school or whatever, and then nonprofits. The funny thing is, by the way that we built it, especially with you guys, because you have this huge directory, a feature that exists that I never intended to build, but it exists, is that I can go, even if I'm not a part of a nonprofit, and I can start fundraising for that nonprofit because I just select them in an endowment and it hits them with all the tax tools and everything. And it's just there waiting for them. And I'm doing the lifting, I'm doing the storytelling, and I can't do that and have it line my own pocket because it's connected through endowment as like a proof and a transparent thing. And so we have all of this great stuff that just happened as a feature because of how you guys are set up and how we set things up, that it just, you know, someone that is really, really passionate about animal rescue or what have you can now just start fundraising for them through Onchain, and it's just they're waiting. And like you said, it's just an email to claim, and there's also all the help afterwards with all the rest of your tooling. So just super cool that the barrier to like help somebody is just continuing to drop lower and lower until, it's just amazing.
Totally. Yeah, I'm excited for what's to come. And obviously, like, we've been in this bear. And so I feel like we've been putting forward more innovative tools and really exciting new things like donor advised funds that I think really allow for that type of donor curation in a way that we haven't seen before. Traditional donor advised funds had these really high minimums. You had to find out about it through a financial advisor. And so now we have these on-chain donor advised funds that allow you to become an ambassador for the causes you care about and the causes you love by really being your own charitable checking account that's fully transparently on-chain. So we're excited that we've been building these things, and then we're excited for hopefully, some more bullish energy to arrive in the market, because that's when we see everybody, really grant making and making those donations. So it's cool that we've all been working hard, and I'm excited for some more juice to be moving through, the ecosystem to hopefully like keep the funds flowing. But yeah, exciting times.
Agreed.
All right. Well, we got you for a few more minutes, so let's plug this out as much as we can.
Let's do it.
So, folks, Onchain Giving Summit kicks off next week on the 13th, which is the Tuesday. We have an accelerator kicking off on the 12th. So we're encouraging everyone who's in our accelerator to go through this entire week, because good vibes.
It's just free, great information.
And just knowledge, so much knowledge.
So much knowledge. So, make sure you RSVP though, because you do need to be RSVP to attend. It is free. Anything else people should know?
Yeah. So each day there'll be a keynote at the top, then amazing panels and workshops from, again, like key thought leaders and builders across the ecosystem. And then each day will conclude with a networking time period. So you're able to go into the virtual expo hall and meet the speakers from the day. So there'll be booths for every single exhibitor, every single partner participant, and you can actually go and, have more Q&A time, find out how to get involved with what they're doing and just have more connection. But again, this is really about weaving community together. A lot of these people who are speaking, we're all kind of building in a very niche space of on-chain giving, but in even more niche lanes of policy or financial advising or nonprofits. So we're able in this week to really come together. And so we really hope to see you there. And yeah, things will be geeky, but also inspiring.
Now, is there a time of day for each of these things, and what's the duration, just so people
Yeah, so each day goes from about 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And yeah, if once you RSVP, you're able to see everything that's happening. So all of the sessions are in there. You can kind of start planning your Google Cal. And yeah, so get in there and RSVP.
Yay.
Yay.
Right. Well,
and sorry, one more thing. So we will have a couple giveaways. At Endowment, we'll be giving away for every person who opens up a donor advised fund on the platform. We will airdrop you $100 into your donor advised fund, which is pretty cool. And then our partners at Crypto CFOs are also giving away a membership to their community, which is really powerful if you're in the financial advisor world or private wealth management world and you want to get more involved in the crypto version of that. So there are definitely some cool goodies and hopefully more to announce next week.
Incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Brusha, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming through, and we will see you next week at the On-Chain Giving Summit.
Super excited. Thank you guys for having me today. And we're really excited to see you at the summit and all of your amazing community. So come on through.
Thanks so much.
We will.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
All right, Mr. Brock. Well, that is the Superchain Spotlight. That is it for this.
I like that we stopped numbering the episodes, because obviously this is like episode 214.
Not a clue. Not a clue.
Yep.
Couldn't tell you.
We'll
look, when I upload the episode to Zora, we will know what episode number it is. But yes.
Awesome.
Any top takeaways for the day?
No, today has been an awesome day, I think, on the Superchain. I feel like we always say that, but the hits just keep coming. And I think that's super cool to see. And I'm so happy that we get to kind of help make it digestible for folks. And then great things like this On-Chain Giving Summit coming right off of Basecamp. It's just a super exciting time. And so hopefully everyone else is feeling the same. And if it's confusing or if there's things that make you nervous or whatever, we're on there, we're out there on the chain and on the lines. And so ask, and maybe we'll bring it as a topic for one of our shows to try and demystify anything that's important. Otherwise, we'll just keep it rolling. And we're glad that you're here.
Yeah. And if you're building something, let us know. Maybe we'll feature you.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll get you on the show. So definitely, here to help with discovery as well. So thank you so much for joining us. This has been the Superchain Spotlight, and we will be back next week. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.